Okay, welcome to LP2. This is part 2. We're going to go into lesson number 3 of our book. Lesson number 3 deals with making selections. So with the selections in Photoshop, it's key to doing everything, or a lot of what's going on in Photoshop. When you select something, then you can manipulate the object that is selected. You can break it apart from other elements. So learning the selection tools can help you be very versatile as you're using Photoshop. So what I'm going to do is go to our lessons. So let's see, my class, Photoshop. I got my lessons are in the Photoshop CS6, classroom in a book, lessons. And this time we can see we're lesson 3. This is the end lesson. I'll open that, and I'll open the start. So to open 2 at the same time, I select one and then the other with the command key or control on the PC. So with them both selected, then I can double click them, and by default they will both open up in Photoshop. The first tool we're going to use, so read in the book on the pages 67, 68, read about the selection tools. There's a couple different ones, but we're going to use them there. So I'm not going to go through in the video, but read that in the book. Getting started on this, we're going to use the quick selection tool. We're going to start off with selecting the sand dollar down here. So the quick selection tool is located right here. It's this tool right there, and you scroll over it. We have that. So if I select that tool, in my properties, I do want to see what we have here. So we have plus, minus, a quick selection tool, 30 there. There's a book, say, any properties with it. No, that's good. We'll just go right with it. So with the selection tool, I'm going to zoom up on this area here. So if I hit the Z key, it brings up my magnifying glass, and then I can zoom up on that. Spacebar brings up my hand. Back to the quick selection tool, and then I'm going to paint it there. And all I did is click and drag that one little bit, and it realized that this is contrasting from the white, so it selected that sand dollar. So with that, the book does not say this, but I'm going to show us something different to do with our book. It shows us how to move things around and moving them so we could do it. But to move this, I'm going to duplicate and make new layers out of all my selections as I select them. The book doesn't say that, but you're going to take time to make these selections. You're going to want to have them as their separate elements, so in case you want to move them later. So you'll see as I put them on the plate, what if you want to change it later? If you don't make them a new layer, then you have to reselect them again, and then you're going to be taken out from the plate. So what I'm going to do is going to leave my plate as a bottom layer. I'll do this what I did earlier in lesson 2 is I'll duplicate this layer just to have it as a backup. I could always open a file again, but it takes nothing to do this. More to talk about it than to do it. But I'll go up here with my layer to my layer options in here and duplicate layer, and I'm going to call this the plate, because I'll separate the plate from everything else later also. Show you something we can do. Different from the book. You don't have to do this, but since I'm going through the tutorial, I might as well show you a little bit more than what you're getting straight from the book. So I'm going to say OK on my plate layer. I'll just turn this layer off right now because I won't need it. Now, I selected the sand dollar, so what I want to do is copy and paste it, and by doing that, I'll create a new layer. So with it being selected, I'm going to do a copy, so Command C or Control C will copy it, and then I want to paste it. So I'm going to show you here, edit, I'll do it here, edit, copy, edit, paste, and that's Command V or Control V on the PC. So paste it, it pasted it, and what it did is pasted it into a new layer. So there it is by itself. So with that, I'm going to show you another thing that the book doesn't talk about. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Come out there, about there. Now, with this layer selected, whenever you're working in your layers and selecting things, you want to make sure the layer is selected that you're working on. So now this is my new sand dollar that I just created, and I want to select that again. I could go back up to select and reselect. So right now the selection is gone when I did the copy and paste, but if I want to reselect it, I don't really need to, but I will show you this. So it's reselected, so this is kind of following what the book shows us. And now I want to move this. To move it, I want to use my move tool, and the move tool is quick key V. Get to know that because you're going to be switching to that a lot when you work with Photoshop. So I hit the V tool, as I call that. I got the V, and then as I come over my selected sand dollar, you see the scissor icon is on there and the arrow, and then I'll take that and move that to where the showing it in the book is somewhere around here. Now I can fine tune it now that I kind of place it there, but if I want to move it, I could shift it. I'm using my up and down, left and right arrows to position it, and then I have it there. Now it's selected. There's two common ways to deselect. We can go to select, deselect here, no, deselect here, or the quick key for that, which I like to use, is Command D or Control D. But for right now, since I have that, so I'll deselect. Now it's set. It's still there, but the object is we're going to put all those elements on the plate. This is the end result that we're going for here. So we have that going. So back to our working one. Now that I have that, let's save this. File, save as. I often forget to do this, so it's a good idea to do it right away. I'm going to call this LP2. This is my last name, Ward Tom _ lesson 3 seashells. And PSD. So now I'm naming this my working file that I'm going to be using. And do I want to replace that? I'll hit cancel. Like I did a test one there. I'll call it 2. Then save it. Okay, to this is just a dialog box. I could click don't show again, but I don't. I just hit OK. Okay, so now we have that. So now we got to reposition the selection, manipulating selection. So as you do selections, you can move them around with that. And actually, this is kind of cool to do. So what I'm going to do is drag out from the center and try to line up to this plate of bowl of Luke's shells. We got urchin and coral or whatever's going on in that plate there. So to do that, I am going to go to my marquee tool here, and under here I'm going to choose my elliptical selection tool, which is underneath the rectangular marquee. And as I have that, I am going to come out here and draw out my selection. And as I draw it out, it's not a perfect circle, but I can see my line drawing, the dotted lines. And now as I hold my space bar, I can shift this up to the upper left here. And then I can drag out more. So now I'm dragging out this way, dragging down. Now I'm going to hit my shift bar again. I probably should have zoomed in on this. You know what? I still can. I haven't let go of my mouse, so I'm still holding my left mouse button down. I can do Command plus. Oh, not with the mouse button held down. So, all right. So I can't do it right now. So what I'm going to do is drag this here and shift bar over a little bit. Drag it over so I can shift bar it over here. Almost there. A little bit over this way. Let go of the space bar. Not shift bar, space bar. I apologize. As I look at that, that's pretty good. That's got See, look at those marching ants, as they, Deke McKellen likes to call them, those marqueen around there. And I can let go, and now it's still, I can see right here, so now I can zoom up on it, that it's selected, and I've let go of the mouse, pan it over. Now I can't manipulate the shape, but I can reposition a little bit, so I want to come up a little bit, and I'll be cutting off a little from the bottom, a little top there. You know what? For time's sake, I'm not going to redo it, but if you don't like it, you can redo it. It really doesn't take that much more time. It's probably better to get it just right. I'd rather have it be into the inside a little bit than pick up any white. So I have it in there, and with that there. Now, it took me some time to do it, so I don't want to have to do this again. That's why I'm copying and pasting the layers. I apologize for the phone call. Hopefully someone will pick it up. And it's not going to be me. So we're going to do Command C to copy this. Now, I want to make sure that I'm in this layer. So this layer is only the sand dollar. So I should rename it sand dollar. And I guess no one else is going to get it. So I apologize for the phone ringing. So, but now I want to come back down to my plate layer. Make sure that's highlighted before I copy. So I do Command Copy. And then Command V, Command C to copy, Command V to paste, and it pasted it on there. So now, with that being there, now I want to see where they positioned that. Looks like in the upper left of the plate. So let's zoom out a little bit. This layer selected, so I'm going to call it the bowl. I think that's what they call it in the book. So I have my bowl layer. Switch to my V key to move it. And I don't have to reselect it because it's the only thing on that layer. So I didn't have to do the reselect. I wanted to show you that earlier, but when I said, oh, you don't really have to, you don't have to because it's the only thing on that layer. I could reselect it, but it works just like this. So now I got it there, and then again I can use my arrow keys to position it to kind of get it to where it was in the book as close as could be. So we have that. That's using the space bar to reposition our selection as we're choosing. And one of the other things they want to do, as they're showing us in there, is we want to hide the selection. So let's say I wanted those marching ants, so I'll do reselect again. And it's selected over here on this one because that's where the selection was. And if I wanted to put two of those on there, I'm going to come back down to my plate layer. And then I'm moving that off of there. Let's turn that off. So then I cut that out. I'll show you this in the next one. We're just going moving on. Keep this moving forward. So I'll do Command D here to deselect. Command D or Control D to deselect. Okay. Alright, so we're selecting from a center point, and to do that we want to select salad seashell. So this time I'll zoom up before I make my selection. Zoomed up, pan over, and then from here I'm going to use my oval tool and select out from the center. So I'm kind of eyeballing where the center of this is. It is a circle, so as I start to select, I'll hold my Shift key and my Option key, and that allows me to select out from the center of the circle. So I'm not quite at the exact center, but I'm pretty close here. I'm looking here and there, and what I want to do is make sure I let go of my left mouse button first before I let go of the Option and Shift keys. So I'm going to go a tad bit bigger, right about there, and let go. So there I have my selection. Now it's not exact, so what I'm going to do is use my arrow keys to move it over. And I'm going to show us something else the book doesn't show us. Alright, so that's pretty close, right? But the selection is a little big. If I move that now, I'm going to get the white of the emblem there. So what I want to do is contract my selection. So with that selected, I'm going to go to Select, Modify, Contract. So I can contract my selection in. So I'm going to choose that, Select, Modify, Contract. Brings up this, and it looks a little more than 1 pixel. I'm going to try 2 pixels and see how that looks. So I put 2 pixels, say OK, and that looks pretty good. See how that tightened up around the outside there? So I think that's pretty good there. So we have that going. Now this is what I was going to show us earlier. It's selected. We have that selected. Just for sake, you know, it took us a little bit to get that. So what am I going to do? I'm going to copy and paste that onto a new layer so I have that. So I'm going to do Command C for copy, Command V for paste. And now it's on the new layer. The selection part went out. So if I turn that off, there it is by itself. What are they calling this? The medallion. Yep, so this is the medallion on there. So let's call it logo. I can spell that. Yeah, spell check. There we go. So we have our logo. And now I want to reselect it. Remember? Select, reselect. Then we're reselected. Now this is what I was going to show you earlier. We have the marquee lines around there. So I want to hide them. They're distracting. I don't want to see them as I'm working. So to hide those, I would do Control H on the PC or Command H on the Mac. Now the Mac will give me a dialog like this, so I'll do Command H, and it also hides Photoshop in the Mac. So, but Photoshop knows this, so it gives me this. Do I want to hide the extras? And extras are these marching lines, and yes, that's what I want to do. So it's still selected. And when things are selected, you can only modify what is selected. So let's say I take my paintbrush tool, my paintbrush, and I go to paint here. I can't paint anywhere except where it's selected. Now, because that's selected and painted there. So let's just get rid of that. So you see I can't paint here, but I can paint there. Alright, so now I want to change the color of this. I want to change it to a blue. So in that, I'm going to go to Image, Adjust, Invert. So what it's going to do is going to invert the color. So it's going to turn black to white and that brownish gold color, orange color to blue, which is the opposite of that. So I hit Invert, and there it is. Because it's still selected, I can check if it's still selected. Sometimes they go, well, there's no marching lines, so you got to be careful when you do something like that. But there's no marching lines going on. So how do I know it's selected? If you go up here and it says deselect, then you know something is selected. So we're there. So let's turn our plate back on. That's our logo, and now we want to move that on our plate. So kind of bring that over there. So zoom out, and I switch to the V key, right? So I hit the V key, brought up my move tool like that, and then I'm going to drag that over here in the plate. Somewhere around there. Now, it's still selected, right? We're not seeing the marching lines, but it is still selected. Kind of about there. And I want to duplicate that. So with it still being selected, to duplicate that, I can hold the Option key on the Mac or the Alt key on the PC and drag. So I hold the Option key, and see I get those double arrows? Those double arrows are telling me I'm going to make a copy of my original. So I see those, and I drag. The computer's going a little slow because I'm making the recording, but I have this. And now, with that still selected, this is still selected. So I'm going to do Command H just to show you that it is still selected. And now that one I selected, that one is selected. Alright, the one I made the copy of. So it's selected, and what I want to do is enlarge it. So to enlarge it, I'm going to go to Edit, Transform. And we'll do the first one, go to Edit, Transform, and I'll go to Free Transform. I like that one because then we can do multiple things with it. So with Edit Transform, the quick key to that is Control T or Command T. So that's Edit Free Transform. Click that. See, it brings up these boxes around here. And with that, I hold the Shift key. So I transform in proportion. So as I'm holding the Shift key, come to this corner, getting that angle, that's rotate, but that's to enlarge, those angles pointing in and out, those arrows pointing in and out. And I'll blow it up to here. Now I'm looking at my percentage there up top. Now I did that, and it came up to 125.64%. I like even numbers. So what I'm going to do is lock this link in here. So by locking out, I can change one of these to 125%. So 125, and they both change 120 because I linked that there. Why do I do that? I don't know. I just like even numbers, instead of the point numbers. In this case, I don't need it. So got that. That's good. Now I want to OK that. So I have to tell Photoshop, yep, that's what I want to do. So one way I can do it is hit the return or enter on the PC, return on the Mac, or up here, if I didn't like it, I can hit the disregard it, cancel the transformation, or accept the transformation, commit to it. So I hit the checkbox here, the same as hitting enter or return on your keyboard, and there it is. It's scaled up that much. And with this, I could have put that on another layer also, but I didn't. It's still selected. I'm able to move it, but once I let go of it, then these two elements are going to be merged together as one. So that's where you start thinking about using layers. In this case, I'm not going to get too complicated with it, but just give you that food for thought. So to duplicate that again, I hold my Option or Alt key, select it, I get those double arrows, drag it out, I'll put it here. It's still, now this one is selected, do Command T to bring the box around it, hold the Shift key to bring, as I go to enlarge it, so I get those double arrows, holding the Shift key, and I'm going up, and I'll make that 125% also. So I could have just typed in 125, but I'll make sure I'm locking, maintain the aspect ratio, chain link there, and I'll type in 125. It doesn't matter which one I type it into, and I'll position that somewhere in here. I could even rotate that a little bit so I reads like that. Whenever it's telling me my rotation up there, so it wasn't much of rotation, whatever. It's there, and then I can hit check here or return on my keyboard. So I'll hit return this time, and it accepted it. So that's what we wanted to do with that. The logo is on that layer. If I hit Command D to deselect, now if I hit my V move tool, these elements all one piece right now. So, that's what you want. If I put them on separate layers, then I would be able to manipulate them and move them around later if I want to. So it's a good idea, really, to put them on separate layers, because later on you might want to change them. So now I'm going to use my Magic Wand tool, and actually I'm learning stuff on the book too, because this is a kind of cool way. I use the Magic Wand tool a lot of times, but this is a neat way of using it. So I don't use the subtract method. I usually use the positive part of it. So to use this, what I'm going to do is take this piece of coral and select that. So I'll zoom up on the piece of coral, come up over here, go to my rectangular marquee tool, take that, and I'm just going to go outside and make sure I get the whole piece of coral inside that marquee tool. I have that. I'm going to go underneath my quick selection tool is my Magic Wand tool, which is, you can't see it right there, but it is there, so let me just do it like this. There's my Magic Wand tool. So I have that. Now, what I want to do is keep the tolerance at 32. I want it to be anti-alias. Anti-alias gives us a smooth edges, so that's what we definitely want to make sure that's contiguous, that's checked. So this is the default, the new selection. That's what I've always used this tool for, but now I learned you can use it to subtract from the selection. So I'm going to choose that tool for here. and point sample is fine. We can leave that. So if I select here, what it's going to do is take away everything that's white inside of this square rectangle that I drew. Any white area in here. So if I select, okay, what happened? So what happened is because I was creating those new layers, I'm not on a layer where there's a selection. So I need to come back down to my plate layer, and then I'm going to do select, reselect, right? So then I'm back on my plate layer. So what happened there? There was nothing to select then, so I want to make sure that I'm always on the layer that I want to select on, and that's where the coral is right now. So I select now, and then it selected my coral. So it made that selection on there. Again, I'm going to copy, command paste, call that my coral, return. I double click on that to rename it. That's how I did that. I didn't mention that earlier. And so with that selected, I'm going to move my coral to the plate. And it's going to be to the left of the logos there. So I'll come over here. Now I don't have to reselect, but I do have to go to my move tool. So I hit the V key, has the move tool selected, and I'm going to take that and drag that over here. Looking at the book, kind of cuts this corner a little bit, right around there. So we have that. We got that going, and then we're going to use the lasso tools to select the mussel shell. So what I'm going to do is zoom out of it. And you know what? I'm going to zoom out. I'll just pan over here. Pan down, holding the space bar to come over to this mussel. I could even zoom up on it a little bit now that I'm closer to it. I want to make sure I get the whole mussel in there. So it's a little bunch, so I'll just bring it back to there. Okay, so what we're going to use this time is our lasso tool and our polygon lasso tool. So our lasso tool is here, and the polygon lasso tool is inside of there. But on the lasso tool, what I'm going to do is, and this is something, so I'm going to drag this. I'm just doing a quick read up on it. Alright, so what I'm going to do is try to get this as best I can with the lasso tool. So I'm going to come around the edge here. I'm not holding right now. And try to stay close to the edge. And with this pointer, and as I go around, now I need to follow as close as I can there. I'm going around that edge. I'm using a mouse. I went a little outside there. It's not perfect. So come around here. I'm starting to get to a little more flatter areas. Now I'm going to switch to my polygon selection tool by holding the Option key. As I hold it, it switched to the polygon tool. So the way this works is I'm going to select. I let go of the Option key. So I needed to keep that Option key selected the whole time. So I'll do a Command Z and take 2. So I'm back with my lasso tool. Let's see if I can get a better tracing this time. Come around. It's following my arrow. And a little tough in there. As you go, just for sake of the video to keep it going, I might stop and fix it. So like I said, everything's not going to be automatic. Even there, I would stop and fix it. I got to. So I let go. Alright, let's see if I can go a little faster this time. But you want to find that edge in there. This is where the Cintiq, or using slip. No, this one's going to give me more gray hair. But like I said, not everything is automatic. It's fun, but some of the stuff is meticulous. And that's why, again, I'm copying and pasting these and putting them onto separate layers, because I don't want to do this twice. Once I get to this point, I lost a little bit there. I'm going to try to bring it back. My mouse is sticking on me, and I'm not going to redo it for the sake of this. So hold the Option key, hold the Option key down, and release the mouse, and then I have my polygon lasso tool. So to try to stay with this, I'll bring this out a little bit. I should be closer to the edge. I would normally start over here, but again, for the sake of our demonstration, I'm going to keep going. So I'm clicking, releasing, clicking, releasing. I can make curves there. So now if I release it, I'm going to hold the mouse down and release it, and I should go back to my lasso tool, and I did. So I had to hold my mouse, make sure my mouse was clicked down, released it, came back to my lasso tool. Now I'm trying to follow this as best I can. I can switch back to my polygon tool by holding the Option Alt key, release the mouse, and now I'm back to this tool. So now I'm releasing and going. So you know what, you learn by doing things a couple of times, and that's the key thing with Photoshop. You're going to have to do repetitive things to get things so they remember. So now if I let go of the Option tool, it's selected on there. So I did miss there. I could do that, expand, you know, my selection just a little bit. Maybe if I, but I'm pretty close to the edge on the other places, so I'm okay. So with that, took me a while to do that. So what am I going to do? Command copy. Did it again. Got to make sure that I have this layer selected, but didn't lose anything. Command copy, command paste. So now it's on a new layer. That's my muscle. And that, just click here. So I have the muscle there. Let's zoom out. I'll put the muscle on the plate. So drag that to the plate. So go to my V key. Now it's on its own layer, so I can just move the muscle by itself. There it is. My computer's a little lagging right now. I'm doing recording and stuff. So as I put this in here, and then I want to rotate that, I'm going to go back to my same free transform tool. I'm going to do Command T. And then I come up here to the corner and I get that transform icon. I get to see how it the curved arrows, and I can rotate that here. If you knew a specific degree you wanted to rotate it, you could type it in up here. So we have that right there. So I have that one selected. I like that selection again, so it's either return, enter, or commit to transformation checkbox up here. So now we're going to look at our last one using the magnetic lasso tool for this Nautilus shell. So zoom up on it, move over, go a little tighter, a little less. There we go. So the magnetic lasso tool is located in here with the lasso tool, and the magnetic lasso tool is here. And this is kind of tricky. Want to try to go around this, and hopefully my mouse won't get stuck and I can go around here. So I'm going to follow this. The nice part about this, let's see what they say to do this. Click on the zoom. So I only have to click once and then let go. So as I click once and start going, then I can let go of the clicking, and then I can just, I'm not holding the mouse down. I'm just following this along this edge. And I'm coming around here. I'm trying to follow as best I can. I see a little blip that happened out there. I come up in here. Hopefully my mouse will keep working with me. So now when I was using the lasso tool, I had to follow it exactly. The magnetic lasso tool is seeing the contrast of the different colors and shapes here, and it's kind of going to that edge where the contrast is the greatest. So it's following that edge, and I'm not really having to be as careful as I was when I was using the freehand lasso tool. So as I get here, I get that little circle in the back of my lasso tool, and it's not there, and now it's there. So when that little circle's there, then I can click, and now it made a selection. Looks pretty good. It's got going looking around here. It's got there. I got that one little blip. All right. Show you one thing, and I got this little blip here. I can show you two things that it's not in the book. So now I'll show you where you can fine-tune this a little bit, and I'll do this as quick as possible, not to confuse you all. So if I wanted to fix that, I can either do a lasso tool again, the magnetic lasso tool, or do this. So I'm going to go to Layers, Channels, Paths. I'm going to select the Paths layer, or tab. Paths tab, select it here. I'm going to come down here to the bottom where it says, let's see what, make work path from selection. So it's this one with these 4 dots, the circle with the 4 dots. I select that, and it made it work path now. So now I'm going to zoom up on this a little bit to come over and see this area here that I want to fix. This is a path. This gray thing here is a path. I'm going to switch to my direct selection tool here. Come here and select this. And there's points here that were created as I made my curve. So I'm going to drop that on here. I'm going to drop that point down on there. Holding the Option key, I'm going to curve that there. Kind of use these handles to kind of fine tune it. I have handles here, so I can grab that handle. And don't worry if you don't get all this stuff to do all this. You don't need to. I just want to show you it's a quick option, a little more than a book. But so what I did is kind of made a little fix on that. I can see actually where this comes around here. I could even try to fix that a little bit, pulling these handles out just a little bit. That tool does a great job, but there's a little divot. Where was that other divot I saw? Maybe right in here. Just to bring that in. That's not so bad. Where did I see that in there? Okay, so I'm done with that. I'm not going to waste any more time showing you that. So it's pretty good. So then I switched back. So I went down here to this one, and then this one, the dotted line circle, turns it back into a selection. So now it's back into a selection. So now I have a nice clean edge that I just fixed up my selection. So I was in Paths. I'm going to come back to the Layers tab. Make sure my plate layer is selected. So now I don't want to have to do this again. So I'm going to do Command Copy, Command Paste, and then I have my Nautilus. And that is, yeah, Nautilus with a U. I knew that. There we go. So we have that going. So I have that Nautilus on a separate layer. I'll come over here to zoom out. And with that selected, go to my V key, which is the Move tool. Bring that up over here. And place that there. So now I have pretty much everything selected, everything arranged. So now I want to crop my plate. And so I will do that. So the nice part about making these all into layers is that you have flexibility now. So if I wanted to move something around, change it, I can. I don't have to reselect it. They're already separated out. So do it once. I know the book probably didn't show us because they didn't want to show you that next step here. But if you're following the book, follow the book. That's fine. I just want to make you aware that you can do it this way. So I'll go to my crop tool. The crop tool here. And I want to make that to unconstrained. There, so I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so I can see it all. And top and bottom there, so I want to bring in this side. So I'm kind of, what I'm doing is kind of looking to match this thickness and that thickness. I'm not going to worry if I get some of these other elements in there. And then I'll do the same here. That looks pretty good. Kind of things centered up in there. And what I want to do is to crop that, and then I can do accept or return. So I'm going to commit to this current crop operation. And it cropped it out. But now I still have this extra things here that I didn't cut out or are still in there. So there's a couple ways. I'm going to go back to my marquee tool, and I'm going to go along this edge and select these elements, and so they're all selected. And then what I'm going to do is hit my delete button. So as I hit delete, I want to make sure that my background color is the white, which it is there. So as I hit delete, let's see, I'll make sure I'm on that layer, the plate layer. So I wasn't on anything, nothing deleted because I was on the Nautilus layer. Again, make sure whatever layer you're working on is selected. So I'm going to go delete, and it took that out because there's more than one layer going on now. So that's fine. We'll do that, and then with that selected, I'm going to go to my paint fill bucket here, my paint bucket tool, and hit the X key to change that to white and fill that area in white. And then Command D and have it there. So now this one, a rectangle wouldn't do it, so then that's where my lasso tool comes in. Nice. I can take my lasso tool and go around these guys. Come around, swoop around there, swoop it around, come back, and then loop back up here. And now that's all selected. So I could do delete, and then another way to do it is to edit, fill, and I'm going to change it to foreground color. In this case, my foreground color is white. I could always pick a color, but right now, foreground color, and it filled it in white. So I have that. Cool. I think if you save this off, you would be done, and that's good. So I'm going to do a file save, which I haven't done recently. Do a file save. There. So another step just to keep it going, I'm going to show us how to put drop shadows underneath these things just to give it a little more pop. So the first thing I do is I want to take my plate off the background. So with my plate selected, I'll try using my magic wand tool, and I selected the white. I forgot there. I'm going to Command D. I'm going to use it as I normally use it. So Command D, deselect, have it in that mode, the selection mode. And now I selected the white, and looking at it, it looks pretty good to where that plate is a nice contrast from there. So what I'm going to do is delete the white from there. So now I have the plate floating out on its own. I'm going to make a new layer. I selected the background layer here. So if I make a new layer, it's going to put it right above my selected layer. And that, I'm going to do Command D. And with that selected, I'll do Edit, Fill. In this case, I want to choose white. And say OK. And it filled in the background white. So I have that. So now my plate layer, drop shadow. Double click it on the layer, not on the word this time. Now I'm doing it outside of the word on the layer. Coming down here to drop shadow, and then I'll move this out of the way so we can see it. And what I'm going to do is double click on drop shadow, and then I can check my distance. Put a little distance, see how drop shadows get a little more. I can put a little spread on it, which kind of softens the edges. A little size there a little bit, kind of softens edges even more. A little shadow. And then opacity, let's bring that down a little bit. I always like it was a little less there. So we got a little drop shadow for our plate, and you say OK there. And then I want to check, do I have Command D on that? I could copy that effect to the other one. So I take that effect, and let's see how to do that. Yeah, there's a way of doing that. Sorry about that. Let me just see drop shadow and copy. Command paste on that one. and Z. There's a way to do that. I'll have to research that. Oh, copy layer style. That's it. So I right-clicked. So that was it. So I right-clicked on here. Copy layer style is what I want to do. Not clear. Copy it. And come to Nautilus and paste layer style. So put a little drop shadow on there. And then I could do it on my piece of coral. Paste layer style. And it's doing it to whatever the layer is, but it's putting the same type of shadow on here. You know, it might be a little much, but for something just to get an idea of how this is working, paste layer style there. You can go into each of those and manipulate them and change them also. Sand dollar, paste layer style. So I got that going. My muscle is where? Muscles there. Paste layer style. Those are flat, so I'm not really going to put a shadow so much on them. Maybe I could, but so got a little bit shadow going on. Got this little bit of something going on this plate, so I'm not sure where that spot is coming from. So I'm going to come here and select in here. Something's making a dot there, so I'm going to go delete. There was something that's on the plate there, that little spot that's got on there. So go there. And do is cheat it up a little bit. Make sure I'm on the plate layer, but I'm not going to delete anything from the plate itself. The plate's still in there. I'm on the plate layer, and I hit delete, and it took whatever that was out. Alright, so Command D, deselect. Now I got a little drop shadows. You know, I can move things around. The shadows will move with it. Go V. You see my shadows moving with my object. So if I wanted to reposition them, because they're separate layers. So then if you end up doing this, the book doesn't tell you to do it. If you've stuck with me this far and you want to go ahead and do this, what I would like you to do then is save this and submit it as a JPEG. Because if you submit this big file, it will take a lot to upload. So let's see how to save this off as a JPEG. So what I'm doing is File, Save My Photoshop document. Always save your Photoshop document. Because the client says, I want to change it. That drop shadow is too harsh. I don't like the drop shadow. Get rid of it. You can always come back to your Photoshop document. Or move that sand dollar over to the right. Or get rid of it. You know, always can come back and edit your Photoshop file. But you want to send your client doesn't have Photoshop, you won't be able to view a Photoshop file. You're going to save it as a JPEG or PNG. But let's go JPEG. So File, Save As, and as it comes up, instead of Format Photoshop, I'm going to choose JPEG. Keep the same name. It puts the JPEG name there. I'm going to hit Save, and then I always like to do it the highest quality. We're not putting this on the web, so I'm putting this to my client. I want to see the best I can, so I always push the quality up to 12. No matte, baseline, standard. That's good. Say OK. And there we have it. We have that saved there. So thanks for sticking with me through all this, and I hope it was helpful. Any questions on anything, be sure to contact me by email or leave me a voicemail. I'll get right back to it. Okay, bye.